Good evening, welcome to the May 10th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If everybody rise for pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome to those of you that are in attendance and those that have joined on the cable network. Pretty full agenda to begin with tonight, so got a couple of issues to deal with on public hearings. As you know, or should know, town meeting is a few days and a month away. We will be voting on June 14th, and actually at the holding town meeting on Saturday the 18th. Voting will take place over at the Massabesic East, and the meeting will be back at the middle school cafeteria. So keep that in mind, but what we're going to discuss tonight in the public hearing is we did add a referendum question to this year's ballot, and that concerns a request by the town's Public Safety Committee to add a second York County sheriff to our process here. So a couple of issues in the public hearing. One is to receive comments on that, and the other one is to receive comments on the fiscal year's budget. So I will declare the public hearing open. And the first item is to do with the referendum question: shall the town enter into a contract with the York County Sheriff's Office to provide a second contract deputy for full-time Waterboro patrol at a cost not to exceed $110,000? So asked Gary to make sure that the Public Safety Committee was here tonight, and Ted, seeing as how you are the chair of the Public Safety Committee, if you would like to present what the committee recommended to the board and why this, and then we included it in the budget. So if you would be so kind as to step up to the mic.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for this opportunity. Other selectmen, also Gary, it's nice to see you guys all tonight. Back in 2014, our committee was tasked by you to look into the future needs of the town of Waterboro regarding additional law enforcement. We did a lot of research, and what we did is we looked at other towns similar in size and population to Waterboro, specifically Standish and Buxton, and we provided that information to you over the past year or so. Our recommendation based on that information was that we add one contract deputy to the town of Waterboro this coming year, and then evaluate the possibility of a third in another 18 months based on population growth and business opportunities that may come into town. Our research also showed it was not cost effective to establish our own police department. The overhead costs alone would be astronomical, so we looked at both contract deputy program and establishing a police department, and based on, again, like I just said, the figures, it's a 50% lower cost to opt for the contract deputy program versus our own police department. Liability reasons alone, I think, would be cost preventative for that. Currently, Standish has 5 contract deputies from Cumberland County, and their budget about 2 years ago was just under $500,000. Buxton, on the other hand, they have, with the chief, has 8 police officers, and their budget was just under $1 million. So again, cost effective wise, contract deputies would be a better way to go as far as law enforcement in the town of Waterboro from our research. That being said, I'd like to just say a couple other things. Waterboro, as everybody knows, is a growing town, and the population increases significantly during the summer months. which helps out all the businesses in the town and creates income for us. And I think it's ridiculous to think that one contract deputy patrolling specifically in Waterboro is sufficient to meet the needs of the growing population. To say that he's overextended is being polite. Specifically during March of 2016, our one officer responded to 436 calls for service in the 140-hour per week shift that he provides for the town. The towns of Buxton and Standish, I believe, overall, over the course of the year, respond to about the same equivalent that our one deputy responds to. Again, he works one 40-hour shift per week. That leaves 128 hours a week where we have no dedicated service to the town of Waterboro, and we have to rely on the county patrols and the officers there. It could take up to 45 minutes or longer for them to respond to an incident here in town, depending on where they are in the county and what they're doing at the time. State police and other agencies are not responsible for our town issues. I think another big thing is there's a false sense of security due to the large number of law enforcement officers that live in Waterboro. But again, they live here, they do not work here. Again, causing a false sense of security. Again, based on local information reported in the local news on a daily basis and some of the gatherings we've had here in town. Last month we had that gathering over at the fire department regarding the opiates and heroin, addictions and all that. I mean, that was a tremendous meeting. I think we had a great turnout to that based on other avenues that we've encountered in the last couple of months. But again, Waterboro is a hub of York County. Individuals pass through here on a regular basis, and a lot of these people in the drug trade travel through our town on a regular basis. And to me, based on that alone, one contract deputy is not enough. I think to add a second one and possibly a third down the road is a no-brainer to me. I also understand, I think my committee members will also say the same thing, that we know that there's families in town that don't want or cannot afford additional funding in their taxes, but you give up small things over the course of a year, and I think we could actually pay for another contract deputy in town, and that would be money well spent. My question to myself is, what cost do you put on the safety of your family and property? I mean, if it comes out to 15 cents per thousand, I think that's money well spent. I mean, you pick up bottles and cans on the side of the road and make up some of that. I know there's other people here in the room that would like to speak. Again, I am 100% in favor of adding this deputy to protect our town and the citizens here, our way of life. And I just ask that, everybody in town seriously consider this, and please come out and vote on the 14th and the 18th of June. And I'll give the floor to anybody else.
Let me explain what one of the things that Ted just referred to is the 14th and the 18th. This is a referendum question. We cannot raise money with the referendum question, so we can pass the referendum question, and then at town meeting, on the 18th, and in the warrant is the funding of this, okay? So if it passes on Tuesday, referendum-wise, and those folks that want to support it certainly must show up at town meeting and vote to fund it on Saturday, okay? If it doesn't get funded on Saturday, then it just doesn't get funded. If it fails in the referendum question, then it will not be addressed on the town meeting floor, because the referendum will take that out of play. So, just so everybody knows, if you're for it, there's got to be two efforts, right?
Yes.
One is the referendum vote, and the second one is the funding at the town meeting. So, Is there anybody else on the Public Safety Committee that would like to,
We have 3 or 4. We have
couple
four
of words, and then we'll go around the table up front here, and then in the public input.
That's a fine.
I would ask that if only because the local reporter is on her way out of the room with a cell phone, if you have cell phones, you know, put them on silent or vibrate or whatever, just so that we don't interrupt the proceedings here. And, you know, sometimes we're guilty of that up at this table. So, especially when they vibrate and shake the mics. So, Ted, I don't know if you want to invite your folks up, or just one at a time. Just introduce yourselves, because folks at home don't.
Sure. My name is Ron Oddie. I'm on the Public Safety Committee. I want to thank you for your time this evening. Just to follow up on what Ted said, I agree with him 100%. I don't think he stated something strong enough. You know, we're very, very fortunate here in Waterboro to have the Uric County Sheriff's Office supporting us, and Deputy Sheridan supporting us. Can't say enough about those folks. But I feel one deputy, quite bluntly, is just not adequate to provide proper service that we need here in this community. Not only for the residents, but we have people traveling through the town. You got seasonal residents coming in, and we have a responsibility to them also. But you know, I kind of personalized it when I thought about this. You know, Deputy Sanborn works 40 hours a week here. He's got a very large burden on his shoulders that he carries by himself most of the time, if not all the time. And I try to put myself in his position. I would ask that anybody else that's considering this do the same thing. It's a big, big task that he has. And I don't think, generally speaking, that anybody can reasonably, if you give it some thought, can reasonably feel that their expectations of police service, law enforcement service, is going to be met by one individual that's only working 40 hours a week. Geographic area is very large, population is very large. So the bottom line for me is one deputy is just inadequate, and it's just not reasonable coverage for this community. The second thing that I'd like to bring up that I didn't hear Ted mention, but one of the big benefits to having a second deputy on board is community policing. And what that would do for us, I think it has great benefits, but one of the things it would do for us would open up an avenue of preventing incidents from happening. A lot of people know police react to different events when they take place, and very little thought is given to preventive measures. I think community policing is a big tool. It's been successful wherever it's been used, and statistics bear that out, that where it is used, crime rates drop significantly. So I'd like folks to definitely consider community policing, the benefits of that, from a rational approach, not an emotional approach, although I know when the pocketbook's discussed, it becomes emotional. But put yourself in Deputy Sanborn's place, give that some serious consideration, and think of the benefits of a second deputy, particularly the community policing efforts that would be available to us. And I conclude with that.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else from the committee?
Thank you. Hi, my name's Andrew Doyle. I've been on the Public Safety Committee now for 2 years, and I really echo a lot of the comments that were just made. The number one thing I'd just like to reinforce is because of the number of issues and calls that Sean has to deal with, he is, by and large, reactionary to the issues going on in town. That said, he's the person best positioned to be proactively seeking out, investigating, preventing crime in town. I think with a second contract deputy, he'd have more opportunity to actually do that. I think this is particularly important when you consider probably one of the biggest issues in town right now is the proliferation of drugs and drug-related crime. That's particularly something where I'd like to see proactive investigation and remediation before you see breaking and enterings and thefts associated with drugs making their way into town. So as I said, Sean's the best and probably only person really positioned to address that for us, but he doesn't have the opportunity. So I think the cost associated with this is marginal when you factor in the benefits that we will see. So I really appreciate that it's come to issue, that we'll be addressing it both at the town meeting and in the vote, referendum question. And I really hope people do speak here and outside to gain support, to make sure people do show up to vote and show up to the town meeting to support it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the committee?
Hi, my name is Nancy Roberge. I'm a member of the Public Safety Committee, but I also work for York County Superior Court in Alfred. I see what goes on in Waterboro every day. And sometimes what I see, I don't even believe it myself. And quite personally, it scares the heck out of me as to what goes on in this town. What people see on the news or in the newspaper is only a very small representation as to what actually goes on criminally in the town. Me personally, if I was to call 911, and I'm not one that calls it frequently, I want response very quickly. I don't want to wait up to 45 minutes for a deputy to respond to my emergency, which I will feel at the time that I'm the only person in this town that has an emergency at this moment. But of course, that's not realistically the truth. You know, there's many emergencies that go on every day in this town. Lots of calls for service. I think we really should publicize the amount of calls for service that Deputy Sanborn does for the town. I think people would really be amazed. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but I don't think the townspeople really know what goes on. They want people to remember that what happened in Shaw's and Saco last year can happen to Hannaford in Waterboro. That scares me to death. People seem to think that that type of stuff can't happen in my town. In today's day and world, anything can happen. That's all I have.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Anybody else off the committee?
That's it for committee members, yeah.
That's it. Any questions from the board to the committee? I think we kind of aired this out with the committee when they met with the board before we put this into the budget process. But I'd like to afford anybody a question, and then we'll open it up to the floor. Anything? All right, anybody from the public that would like to speak for or against? This is your opportunity. Just, yeah, fine, step up there. We need your name and just for our records. And
My name is Mark Brilliant. I live in Lake Arrowhead. I've been a member of the community for 18 years. I do want to stress that to me it's very important to be proactive instead of reactive. In the short 18 years, my daughter just turned 20 Sunday. How I got through that, I have no idea. The first 6 or 7 years, I slept with a baseball bat next to my bed. I now have a shotgun, 2 handguns. That's because of my neighbors. And I'm sure I'm not the only person out there with neighbors like that. Drugs, thieves. I really believe there's a need. I come to the last town meeting and I'll be willing to pay the increase. No doubt, it's for the best. Just Friday, had some company over to the house and I went for a 4-wheeler ride. I know Officer Sanborn was off duty. But I really don't think he needs to be chasing down people who's doing donuts around the yard on his off hours. I honestly don't believe he needs to be doing that. He needs some help. And one thought I had, everybody seemed to be concerned about, you know, get a call, how long does it take? Has anybody thought, nobody really has an answer for that. However, what about GPS? Don't we know where the cruises are? Can't we get information that way, just to really give you an answer? Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Dennis?
Dave?
Yeah, I just want to respond quickly to, I've got a mic here and put the camera on myself so everybody sees. Dave Lowe, IT. The monthly reports are available on the website already, so you can look at the statistics there. There's a link in the news sidebar right now, but also if you just go to waterboro-me.net/contract deputy, look for the monthly reports. And I was just counting them to get a rough, it's about 1,300 plus for the first 3 months of the year at this point, so. All right.
In the back, yeah.
Hi, my name is Charles Gassett. I've been in the area since 1981, and I know if we don't get hold of the law enforcement in Waterboro, I don't think our life is going to be the same as like when I first got here in 1981. I've been at basically like ground zero as far as I've been broke into twice. I think that I'm a good citizen. It's not like I have stuff hanging around in the house that I shouldn't have to get broke into and stuff. And like I said, I've been at ground zero with it. And I think once it comes to your home, you know, people are going to want other officers around. I think that's going to be a big thing, to tell you the truth. And I think if we don't get a hold of it now, life in Waterboro as we know it is not going to be the same. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, my name is Michael Tonelli. I've been a resident for the last 9 years of North Waterboro, and I'm for a second officer. You know, my house was broken into a couple of years ago, and while I was away for the weekend, and my car was stolen, my ATV was stolen, you know, some other items out of the house. It was more than one person that did it, because to get away with so much stuff. And it took almost an hour for a deputy to arrive at my house, because Deputy Sanborn was off that day, and the other covering was 2 towns away investigating a missing child. Yeah. So, you know, that's precious time that's lost in trying to get a handle on what happened to me. I believe $110,000 is not a lot of money when you break it down per resident. It may come out to a cup of coffee a week per taxpayer, or maybe a little bit more to come up with that money. It's very minimal for extra protection. I mean, this is not the Old West anymore, where you got one deputy covering, you know, 50-something square miles. And like I just said on Facebook, thank God he's not on horseback. You know, you know, I think if the residents knew how cheap it would be, you know, per taxpayer for this extra coverage, you know, $110,000 sure sounds like a lot, but I think if you really broke it down, it would be very minimal for this extra protection. And things are growing. The town, like everybody says, the town is growing, and suppose Deputy Sanborn is off, and everybody knows how, you know, pharmacy burglaries, robberies are becoming more popular, and we do have 2 pharmacies in town, plus other numerous stores that could be hit. And suppose there is an armed robbery, you know, how long it's gonna take somebody to get there. I retired from 35 years in law enforcement. You know, I know what he goes through, and it's not easy. And you know, I think we have to move a little bit out of the dark ages, and you know, start building up our protection a little bit. One officer is not, I don't think, is asking too much. And I don't know what specifics are as far as if the state can give any additional funding or not. You know, I'm not up on that, but or if the town has to come up with the whole 100% of it. But you know, I would definitely love to see this happen. You know, it's and I'm sure Deputy Sanborn gets a lot of knocks on his door, or people, you know, trying to get him on the side and when he's off duty, and that's not fair to him. So that's about all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Right up there.
Richard Briganti, Waterboro resident, been here since right after 9/11, came into town. I'm not for a second deputy, I'm for a third deputy. I think that 18 months to wait in between is too long. I deal with these people on a daily basis, the drug addicts, the heroin, and they're ruthless people. And if once this heroin just continues and what it's going to do, a third deputy is what you need to look at. The second one's going to help, but the third will be even better. And 18 months to wait, I just think that's too long. I really do. And I don't know how to press it to get the rest of the community to support this. But it's got to happen. I mean, it's a no-brainer. These people are ruthless, and they'll steal right after money if they have to. They're going to do whatever they have to. So this is an imperative thing, that you get these deputies on board. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else? I think everybody's had their say. Anything from the board?
Yes.
Just, yeah, go ahead.
You know, I appreciate all the people that came out tonight and spoke in favor of this, and certainly talking to people within the community, the flavor that I'm hearing is that there is a lot of support for adding additional contract deputies to the mix here and increasing our law enforcement presence. Our community is growing, and with that, we need to make sure that our services are growing, particularly our law enforcement services. You know, we've got a big push to attract businesses, to help, you know, with the tax rate and to make the town more appealing. But if we don't have the law enforcement to protect those businesses, you know, that's not really a selling point. They need to know that their business is going to be safe in this community. So, you know, we need to make sure that the services are where they need to be so that our community can grow and be a healthy and safe environment. And I think it's really important that people have to understand how this process is going to work. We need to make sure people understand they've got to come out on June 14th and vote at the polls on the referendum question. If the referendum question does not pass, then that's it. It's done. We'll remove the article for the townhouse floor, so we need it to pass at referendum. And then we need to make sure that there's people at town meeting that vote to fund it. Because even if the referendum passes on Tuesday, if the article doesn't pass on the townhouse floor on Saturday and fund the position, then the position doesn't happen. So it is critical if people want this service, they have to get out twice. They have to get to the polls on the 14th, and they have to get to town meeting on the 18th.
Okay. Anything else?
If I can make Chairman, I'd like to echo some of the same sentiments that have been expressed here this evening. It's odd that the gentleman that was formerly in law enforcement chose the figure of, you know, the Old West and 50 miles to cover. Actually, Sean does have to cover that because Waterboro is larger than 50 square miles. So he is covering that all by himself, albeit not on horseback. I come from a background in law enforcement as well, but aside from that, I have a pair of eyes, and I see what goes on within the community. And to some extent, based on my past experience, I'm maybe more perceptive in looking at that. Some of the criminal elements, though this gentleman expresses, are closer than maybe others, being his neighbors. You'll find that the criminal population is an extremely transient one, and a lot of the people that break into the camps in your homes are, people from either bordering towns, because they have no allegiance, to any specific town when they're going to commit their crime. They'll move all around, and preferably like it in an area where they're not maybe as well known, so that their chances of being identified are slimmer. So, just because you have a criminal element maybe living in the town, you also have a great deal of people passing through. And to say that things cannot happen here, all we need to do is, look around us at Columbine. Nobody ever thought that would happen there. And some of the other school shooting situations, nobody thought it would happen there. It's not in my town. You probably picked up the paper and read about that boy that was terrorized in Portland, and that happened to be somebody from Waterboro that was picked up in Portland. Now, that doesn't say that, that case is all what it seems to be, but, just because you don't think it can happen here doesn't mean that it won't. And, conversely, it doesn't mean that it will either, just because we have a Hannaford store and something. But I think we need to take those adequate precautions to minimize the possibility, to insulate our community, and hopefully that whatever criminal element there will be will look at this and say, nah, we don't want to mess with them, let's go somewhere else. And it's kind of a sad way to look at it, but you want to sweep your problem somewhere else. And I see that Deputy Sanborn is here tonight, but he brought backup with him. Pretty quiet over there, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. John?
1 minute. I got to give my support to the thing that the state police and the sheriff's office does not do is community policing. That's what our deputy does. That's what the second deputy will do. And where an example of that might be someone calling and saying, there's something weird going on out there. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't feel very good about it. They're not going to send a deputy from 3 towns away for that call. Sean, he's here. You don't feel good, I'll come over and talk with you. And probably find out there's a reason for that person not feeling good about what's going on out there. So that's what community policing is all about. And it's not dramatic, but it helps the people that are afraid, so especially maybe some of your older citizens that are concerned living alone, and there's people hanging outside the house and making noise. The sheriff's department's not going to come for that. We do, right, Sean?
John? Wayne, anything?
Just to straighten me out, I think the figure that we had about a month ago was about $45 per household on a $200,000 home.
15 cents on the tax rate, so about
Yeah.
$30, a little north of $30.
This is per household, and don't forget your open land that is out there. Your open land's gonna pay for this too. And I just wanna repeat what Tammy has said. You gotta come out on Tuesday and vote, and then come back out on Saturday to fund it or not to fund it. Same thing on Tuesday. Vote to or not to, and it is a cost.
Okay. And just so, you know, we've gone through the last few years, town meetings with very, very few people showing up, and there's this perception, well, the silent majority agree with what's going on and whatnot. I would tell you that you depend on the silent majority to pass this, they probably won't. So I think if there's any good reason to say, I'm gonna go vote on the 14th and I'm gonna go to town meeting, this would be one of them if you feel very, very strong with this. So don't leave it to chance that the silent majority is gonna take care of this for you. So if you're a supporter of this, make sure that you bring your family, friends, or whomever else wants to spend a very exciting Saturday morning at town meeting. It's not as bad as they used to be, but and they go fairly quickly. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think that the
Okay,
person may have
is
a
there a-
question.
Can you clarify whether the 15 cents is for the second contract deputy or that it's for the entire municipal budget?
Just the second contract deputy.
Is 15 cents in the tax rate?
Every $7,500 is a penny.
Okay, anything else?
Based on what you just said,
Yeah.
if anybody needs a ride to vote, call me, I'll come get you and bring you there.
And that's got nothing to do that you're also a candidate, right? Okay.
We need a backup.
Just so that we give equal time. Tim is at the back of the room. I'm sure you could call him for a ride too.
Back in the day, it was, you know, it was generally in and around road commissioner elections, but there was a lot of that done in this community. If there's nothing else, we'll declare this portion of the public hearing closed and go on to item B, which is to receive comment regarding the proposed 16-17 fiscal year budget, or it's actually the FY17 fiscal budget. I don't know if anybody had a chance to pick up a copy of the budget. This kind of gets disseminated amongst the articles within the town meeting warrant. So I'm not sure how the best way to go through this to receive comment is, but maybe we just go to the bottom line at the first blush here, okay? For those of you that happen to have this in front of you, if you look at our municipal budget, and our municipal budget has to cover the operations within the municipality, has to cover the commitment to county tax, and it also covers the funding for RSU 57. So when you look at the total budget, and I'm going to go to what our current FY budget is in this current fiscal year, it's approximately 13 million and a quarter. I'm going to round up a little bit. The selectmen's recommendations coming out of our deliberations and what we recommended that we go to the town meeting warrant, and we cannot control the RSU portion of this. So out of the 13 and a quarter million, 5.4 million is currently the actual budget within the municipality. That also includes county tax. County tax is $430,000, $440,000. So you can look at, we're about $5 million to run this municipality. That includes everything. Administration here at the town office, roads, bridges, police protection, fire protection, emergency services, everything that you can think of in the municipality is covered within that $5 million budget. So out of 13 and a quarter, 5 of it goes to municipal services. the budget committee worked with Gary and came up with some recommendations. They were a bit higher than what the selectmen recommended, so the selectmen's budget is 5.77, so 5.75 million, up about we'll say $250,000 from where we were last year. In that number is the 110,000 for the deputy. All right.
Second deputy.
Second deputy. I'm sorry. So it's 220,000 for both deputies. So in our projected increase, we also covered a recommendation for the second deputy, which would be cover 110 out of that $250,000 increase, which is not quite half of it, but I think if you look at municipal services within the community, or the town office here, it's actually a bit below where it was last year, right? And if you go back, and I'm going to go through this quickly, but if you need an explanation, put your hand up and we'll stop. I'm going to go back to the front page of this little packet. If you look at general government, and that's everything that happens here, and you look under column E is where we're going to look here, because that's the selectmen's recommendation. And as compared to column F, F is where we currently are funded. So we're looking at 432,008 versus the 443. So we're down a bit here. And go through the line items and look where we're down. If you go to the second page, the number starts at line item 46, which is leases and debt service. You'll see that a significant increase in debt service. We're going from $192,000 to $347,000, and again, I'm rounding. The debt service is being increased for a couple of different things. Number one, last year's town meeting, we brought in a new ambulance. Well, we voted on the new ambulance. There was no funding in last year's requirement. That will be in this year's. We're also talking about the salt shed too, right?
Yep, salt shed.
So the new salt shed, the new dump truck, those are all being bonded, or I guess we used to call them leases. Now we're kind of switching over to where we're actually bonding them. We are funding them through a local bank this year, as opposed to going to the main bond bank or entering into leases. Leases seem to be, interest rate is significantly higher these days, so that's driving the increase there, and it's really three major things. All voted on at previous town meetings, which was the construction of a salt shed, the addition of a municipal dump truck, and the loader, the ambulance, I'm sorry. This year, we're proposing another backhoe, or an upgrade to the backhoe. Unless there's any questions, I'm going to jump to line 64, which is insurance and benefits. As everybody knows, insurances are not going down, so this item will be up. The office of the town clerk, or I should say the town clerk operations, which is really headed up by Gary, but with a deputy, is in essence down a bit. The tax collector up a bit. IT department will be up 4,000.
Treasurer.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed treasurer. Treasurer is up a bit. And again, all of this is really kind of predicated on a bump to, a moderate bump, I should say, to salaries. I think we've got built in a 2%.
2.5 COLA.
2.5 COLA.
Remember the 5 positions that have furlough days too.
Right.
I don't know if you want to go.
And we did, well, I'm not sure that just confuses the issue, but, so all of the payroll will take care of that. The only one that's outside of that is, the negotiated contract that we have with, Gary. Municipal buildings, down a bit from 82 to 76 grand. The tax assessors are gonna be flat, from where we were. As you know, we have Bob Consul and Alex and, what's the name of his company?
Atlantic Valuation
Atlantic
Services.
Valuation Services,
3 days a
perform
week.
the assessing, yeah. Code enforcement office is up. Driven a little bit by salaries, but also some training, and some legal funding. Library is up a bit, but for those of you that have been in and around the library, you know that there's been a tremendous amount of work that's been done. We've been doing that locally, with improving the downstairs, and Pete's done lion's share of that work, but, and I think they've really got a pretty good handle on some of the problems that have been plaguing us over the years at the library. Is now, not that they've gone away, and not that that means that that'll fix it forever, but I think that we're in fairly good shape. What did I miss?
Bottom 8, Parks and Rec.
Yeah, bottom of 8, line 225, Department 55, Parks and Recreation. We're up a bit there. If you look at, actually, if you look at what the town puts into Parks and Rec from a tax base, that's pretty flat. The predominant share of that increase will be covered by fees for the programs. If I'm going too fast, holler. Line item 258 on page 10, which is the planning board. Planning board members do get paid. This is up just a bit. And it's up for some other issues, not that the planning board members get an increase in salary, because those stay the same. But zoning board of appeals, I'm sorry, planning department, which is on 273, is actually down a bit. And for those of you that may care to, the planning department today is really handled by Southern Maine Planning and Development. We have someone here, Lee J. That's here, Feldman, who's here a day a week, plus whatever effort he has to do to support the planning board. We also, within that, also have some help out of that same organization for economic development. Zoning Board of Appeals, line item 290, Department 65. Again, it is what it is. Typically, the Zoning Board of Appeals is covered by, when there is an appeal, the applicant has to pay a fee. One hopes that those fees cover all of our expenses. Public safety, significant increase in public safety. Couple of issues going on there. We're going from about $888,000 to $983,000, so a $95,000 increase. There are some structural changes within the department where they're bringing on an additional captain. As most of you may know, we use an extensive amount of per diem people. The addition of the captain is to help with supervision and organization and in and around some of that per diem work. In addition, we've kept, we actually scaled back the student involvement from Southern Maine Community College. We used to have 4 students, we're dropping down to 2. So that means that we need some additional per diem coverage to handle that, so. Yeah, and in that is all the repairs and maintenance and everything else of vehicles, and EMA is all included in that as well as EMS. And emergency medical is flat, to be perfectly honest with you. It's only 108.6 out of that, and the current budget drops to 107.8. So that runs flat out of that budget. So that increase is really the addition of another full-time captain, and the addition of more per diem coverage. And that's the only, just so that everybody knows, it's the only way that this municipality covers public safety 24/7, is with a whole bunch of per diem people. We have 5 full-time folks, and that includes the chief and the deputy chief. So as the community increases, and there's more and more demand on the public safety folks, that may very well start to move in an upwards direction. I think it's safe to say it's never gone down over the last 15 to 20 years, and it will continue to go up as long as we have insurance companies in the state and everybody else telling us what we have to have for training and what qualifications we have and what equipment we have to have in those kind of things. Within that kind of theme, we do pay, just so everybody knows, hydrant rental to the public water system. We have to pay 33% of their operating budget if we use the water system for fire protection. That is a state law driven by the Public Utilities Commission. So it's 30, not any of that, anything out of any capital expansions or anything else. It's 33% of their operating budget, their annual operating budget. So we budgeted a couple thousand more. They're back at the PUC trying to increase their rates. Not sure how successful they've been with that, or do we know that?
They said they should know by June 18th, and we'll either need that 2,000 or we can pull it off on the floor.
Rosconna Fire Company is, Rosconna, it's, the cost and operation of that is shared by 3 towns, Alfred, Waterboro, and Shapley. They're a fairly significant increase this year because they're doing some additional equipment stuff. Health and sanitation in this budget is kind of focused on the transfer station. Some people would say the dump, but we don't have a dump anymore, we have a transfer station. So that covers everything from recycling to household waste to taking care of brush to taking care of tires to woody debris, anything that you end up taking to the transfer station. And I will tell you that years ago when we had the little fling with paper bag, everybody thought that we would be spending $1 million a year on waste, handling our waste products. In this year's budget, it's $430,000, so it's been pretty stable, and it's actually gone down because of our relationship and part ownership of Eco Maine has been able to reduce tipping fees. And the debt is paid off at Eco Maine. Where are we now? Water grant, all of that. Public Works, line item 429 on page 16. Department 85. Current budget is $1.1 million. We're going to $1,228,000. Some of that is driven by additional equipment. As you may know, we're putting up a new salt shed, some cost associated with that, non-capital cost. Some additional costs relative to what we're gonna do with the remaining buildings at the town garage.
And about 100 of that is plowing.
Right, and yeah, $100,000 is the new plowing contracts, 3-year contracts that we're. Okay, general assistance, line item 475. Hear a lot about general assistance at the state level and how the state's trying to handle welfare and all of that good stuff. All I can tell you is that the state has been reimbursing this municipality about 50%. I think that probably will start to deteriorate over time as the legislature and everybody else kind of handles things, but so we get back from the state about 50 cents on the dollar of what we spend. And we're actually down, our current budget is 73,000, and we're going down to 68.9, so.
And the community helps
Right.
very hard around here with fuel assistance.
Right, the fuel
and-
assistance, because fuel being down helps, because we're not spending, $4 or $5 a gallon to put into to homes, so. Education, I will defer to, and you should plan on next Tuesday night going to the RSU 57 budget meeting. If you have any interest in what that's gonna be, but right now they're projecting it at 7.792 million for this community. And then that represents about 30% of the total cost, the local share of cost at the RSU. Waterboro has the highest valuation, state valuation. We also have the highest pupil count out of the 6 towns. Capital
That
improvements.
number you quoted is this year.
Okay, this year,
The
we're,
other one is a little over,
okay.
north of 8.
So this year was 7,792,000. It looks like we're going to 8,047,000. And really depends on what happens next Tuesday night. The vote on the 14th is a yes or no. But the budget that comes out of next Tuesday night, which is like a town meeting, will be the number that goes into the June 14th up or down vote. Capital improvements, we took the opportunity to cut this a bit. Our current budget is 430,000, we're going down to 260. But we're building a new salt shed and those kind of things that are being bonded, so they're not in this item anymore. Then I guess we jump over to unclassified items. That's where the sheriff's patrol is, and we're talking line item 535 on page 21. You will see that current year column F shows $108,000 to the county. We have in this budget 221. All right, so that accommodates the second deputy. And that's what will be voted on at town meeting. I'm not sure what article that transitions to. Do we know what the article? While Gary's looking at that, there's York County taxes, they're gonna run about 425,000 as the budget committee, York County Budget Committee started to meet
Yes.
Tomorrow night.
morning. So that's, and we're in our 4th year of a 5-year payment, you know?
FY 16-17 is year 4.
Okay, right. So this would be going into our 4th year. We're in our 3rd year.
Right.
Just as a little, the county transferred from a calendar budget to a fiscal year budget. Calendar budget naturally running January 1 to December 31st. Fiscal years is how the state runs, how all the municipalities, or most of the municipalities around us, we've been on a fiscal year for years and years here. That starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th. So the county had to switch, so they had a half-year budget, and they gave municipalities an option of paying it up front or paying it over a 5-year period. And we chose 4 years ago to do it on a 5-year period, so we'll be entering year 4 of 5. So that's added to the number. Few other little issues. Lake Arrowhead is in here if anyone is concerned with the Lake Arrowhead conservation issue with the milfoil. That's part of this unclassified budget and all the committees. So economic development.
Mind if we bring out a detail on that, Dennis?
No, go ahead.
You'll see under column F under economic development in row 545, this year they got $20,000. They haven't spent all of that, and there probably will be something north of 15,000 left over. So one of the other things I'm going to suggest in just a few minutes that we add to the agenda tonight is to carry that forward and add that to the town meeting warrant. That was an oversight. I don't know how that got through me. It was on my draft a long time ago to have the EDC funding carried forward. We talked about that in the budget meetings, and that's why we only funded them for $2,500, because we knew there was going to be probably 15 that should be carried forward into the next year.
If you jump to page 22, which is all of the agencies, you'll see that we're in essence recommending funding those agencies that we funded in the past. I think the only, no, there is no addition, right? So that's,
There were 2 new ones, Life Flight and Trafton
yeah,
Senior
they
Services.
requested money,
Yes.
but from the selectmen's recommendation, we've funded. You'll see some other things like the ATV grant. This is just really a placeholder. We have to, the ATV group has had grants from the state or federal government for a couple, 3 years, and that money has to run through the municipality, like any grant if it was, so we have to show at least where it's documented, but right now there's no expected grant. But so if people are looking for, hey, how come we're not funding that, it's an in and out.
Those are not taxpayer dollars.
Right.
Not property taxpayer dollars.
So the last page, which is page 23, has the summation of all of that. Please pay attention to column E, which is the selectmen's recommendation, and column F is our current budget. So you'll see that we will be up about $400,000. As Gary mentioned, about $750,000 is worth a dollar on the tax rate, so you know, we're probably halfway there, basically.
60 cents, something like that.
Hopefully 45 to 50.
Okay. What are you shaking your head for?
I was wondering how much you said that was, the municipal, how many?
He said $7,500 is a penny. I guess it's $750,000 is a dollar on the tax rate.
Okay.
So if we raise if our need goes up by $750,000, that's about a dollar on the tax rate. And right now we're at
This is just the expense side. You have to use all the revenues.
Right.
And the assessor did a very preliminary calculation last Friday, came up with 40 to 50 cents. Right.
Does that include the education, or is that the municipality on that?
That's everything.
It's everything.
A very rough estimate, right?
Very
Yes.
rough.
Thank you.
Preliminary estimate.
So any questions on any of that? I didn't see any hands going up, and I know it's very exciting information, but, and again, I'm gonna use the same statement that I used a minute ago. If people are happy with what's going on, and that's kind of what we keep getting for feedback is wow, we get this silent majority out there that approves of everything that we're doing. I'm not sure that I'm on that train, but if there's something in this budget that you really think that is a need, you need to come out and voice that opinion. And that's the only way we get some read on what's going on. There's not quite 8,000 people in this community, but 7,700 or 70 north of that. And when you're getting 60 or 70 people
Not even getting 1% of
Or
it.
half that.
at a town meeting, it doesn't speak to the fact that, hey, people are enthused about what's going on. And I understand it's a beautiful Saturday in June most of the time, although I think it's gonna rain this year, just so that you can plan around that and come to town meeting. But it really does, the more folks that we have, and, I mean, everybody likes to sit in the meeting and everything goes quickly and all of that stuff, and I can remember years ago, 6, 7 o'clock at night still being there, because we couldn't, we had to argue about 25 cents on every article, but I think those changes, days have changed a bit, and I think, but it would be nice to have the more people that are there and participate. I think that sends a great message to the community that we're doing the right things and whatnot. And for those that believe that the board makes all the decisions on the budget, we don't. That's it. We're still a town meeting vote, and the town meeting has to give us the authority to spend, so.
I think what he just said was, it's up to the townspeople to get out and vote. If you don't, you've got no say when it comes time to get your tax bill. Don't complain.
Any comments? Okay, we're gonna move on here. Declare both those, the public hearing closed. Any announcements from the board? Additions and deletions, we have a couple of issues. Under new business, we'd like to add, discuss vote to appoint a committee member,
Library trustee, yes.
library trustee, and item E, vote to include in the warrant under Article 5, the carryover of Economic Development Committee's funds. So I would entertain a motion to add those two items to the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, so that will be item E, D and E on the new business. All right, we don't have any appointments, public comments, formally hearing a delegation. Correspondence, the treasurer's reports, just so everybody knows, on the 24th, it says the 26th.
24th.
Right. On the 24th, there'll be a public hearing notice, and I believe it was or will be in the papers this week. Proposed zoning amendments to Article 2, size reduction and increases, and also the Campground Developments, Section 703. And so that'll be 2 weeks from tonight, that public hearing. And then under correspondence to Waterboro Public Library, April 2016 report. On to item 8, report and staff initiatives, Selectmen reports. Where would you like me to start? Gordon?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
John?
Just want to mention, I was at the library committee meeting. It was Bridget McCallan's last library meeting. 14 years, Bridget? Yeah, 14 years
I
on the
would
library committee.
I would caution that you say that, because we have not accepted a resignation at this point.
I think you better. She'd get pretty ornery. But a lot has gone down, and it's a lot of energy and a lot of love and commitment. So I just want to honor Bridget for her work there, and thank you very, very much.
Yay, Bridget.
Hold your applause for the actual acceptance of the resignation. Anything else, John?
No?
Tammy Jo?
Had 12-town group meeting last night. We had 3 towns represented, 3 selectmen from Shapley, 1 from Hollis, 1 from Waterboro, and the chairman and the secretary. Lyman has opted to resign from the 12-town group. They sent us a notice. We received that last night. They have not participated with any regularity, and so they did not see point in paying the fee to participate when they don't participate. We discussed the purpose of the group, the accomplishments, and ways that we can increase participation. Last year we had a lot of participation. We had some meetings that were very well attended. This year not so much, and we really haven't had a lot of hot topic issues this year, and so I think that's been part of what's driven the lack of participation. So what the group has decided is that we're going to take the summer off. The next meeting of the 12-town group will be in the fall, in September. That meeting is going to be to put together a punch list of items that we think need to go for consideration and bills for the upcoming legislative session that'll start in January. And then in October, the 12-town group will host a candidates night for state representatives and senators. John will reach out to Gary to probably get a bigger venue for that October meeting. And myself and Dave McCumbee from Hollis, who have been regulars in 12-town group for about 7 years or so now. Neither one of us will be selectmen when the next 12-town group meeting comes up, so we'll both be done with that group. So that means somebody from this board is going to have to take over that position. They meet on the second Monday of the month, usually come over around 6:15, open the door, you get some sandwiches, and 8:30, 9 o'clock is when we tend to wrap up, and then I've learned over the years that I need to shut the lights off so that we can get everybody out to the parking lot, because there's always the meeting after the meeting. So usually we're out of here by 9 o'clock. And one of the things that the 12-town group is going to watch, and is really the board's going to have to keep an eye on, is the jail bill. It's looking like in the next legislative session there's going to be a big push for the state not to contribute to any jail funding, and the jail would fall back on the counties with no more tax cap. So that's something that the board's going to really want to keep an eye on, because that's going to have a very significant impact on county taxes. That's it.
Okay. Dwayne, anything?
Nothing.
Gary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several items here. We haven't met since we had the April 24th Opiate and Heroin Forum at our fire station. It was very well attended with over 100 people there. We had very strong testimony from law enforcement folks that were invited, drug counselors, health and EMS professionals, including some of our own. And the thing that really kind of grabbed at your gut was parents giving testimony for their addicted or formerly addicted children. It was pretty gripping at times. And the one that pulled it all together, in addition to those parents, was a gentleman that was there. There was a 3-year recovered addict. And the officer that arrested him was in the audience as well. And he said, that officer saved my life. And it was very well attended. And the steering committee is going to continue to meet to see if there's some next steps that we should take to help reduce the drug problem in our community. Some good news about staffing here. Georgia Hall is back from her maternity leave and back to her Tuesday and Thursday shift out here, even though she's helping coach track a little bit with the ladies track team. Friday, May 20th, we will not have an assessor in here. Friday, May 20th, he'll be away at training. And I've confirmed with Bob Powers that he will be moderating candidates night here in this room on Thursday, May 18th. That's next Thursday. 19th, I'm sorry. I said the 18th, didn't I? Thank you. Thursday, May 19th, candidates night here at Town Hall. And some sad news, the rehab bus that we had so much time put into, that you might have seen at our fire station, it was all painted up, decked out for thawing out frozen firefighters and cooling off overheated firefighters. We lost the engine in this. And some good information came from Ted Doyle tonight, who works for SAD 57. Maybe there's an extra engine in an old bus down there that we can get, because we're looking at upwards to $5,000 to replace that engine with a refurbished motor. So if we can get another one off the school, we'll certainly look into that. With all the work that's gone into this, it's looking really good. It'd be really a shame to scrap the bus, and I don't really want to do that. So stay tuned on that. I got a phone call today that they wanted to pass on celebrating the retirement of Betty Graffam from the Head Start program in the county. And they're actually going to rename the Waterboro Head Start facility on Middle Road, the Betty Graffam Children's Center. So the public is invited, 3 o'clock, May 24th. To 55 Middle Road, if you wish to attend that meeting that day and that celebration. Transfer station hauling contract is going out to bid this week. You see advertisements in the paper. Clint's going to deliver the packet to 12 potential vendors, as well as we'll put notices in the paper. And then, let's see, cleanup day at the transfer station is Saturday, June 4th. You must have a Waterboro sticker, and the trash is only supposed to be from Waterboro taxpayers. Tuesday, May 17th, I'm sorry, Dennis said at the middle school, the RSU 57 budget district meeting. And some sad news to a loss of our team. We're going to lose Christina Silverman. And she'll be moving on to Cumberland Town Hall, a job that is much closer to her home. And I don't blame her for making that choice, even though I'm very sad about this. She's helped me tremendously, and we're going to miss her a lot. She's a great person and a very consummate professional here. She's offered to work a few Fridays because Cumberland Town Hall isn't open on Fridays. So her last formal day here will be Friday, May 20th. So probably a good thing to swing by for lunch then. There's probably about some wild food going on that day, and maybe dancing in the hallways as well. So thank you, Christina, for all you've done. This will be our last Selectmen's meeting, the way it works here. So that's it from me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Can I just follow up on that a little bit? You know, Christina, thank you, because you have been an awesome, awesome team member here. I know when I was